What's up, B.N.H family? Back again. And today we got the Dream Team documentary. This was recommended from one of my subscribers. You know, appreciate the recommendation. Yeah, man, this is back in '92. You know, they had all the legends on that team. I don't really, you know, of course, you know, I didn't really see them. I really wasn't into the Olympics like that back then. I don't think I ever watched like a full game that they played, and I didn't really keep up with it. So this will be interesting. No, I don't really know all the little behind the scenes stuff that happened. So let's get into it. Check it out.
Why do people talk about dreams so much in sports? Dream seasons, dream matchups, dream opportunities. They do it because so much of sports is about imagining what you want things to be like. If only the setting were just right.
It was one of those times none of us will ever forget.
The characters just right.
I don't know anything about Angola, but Angola's in trouble.
The timing just right.
11 Hall of Famers. I don't think you can ever do that again at no point in time.
If only it could all be the way you might have dreamed it up yourself.
Oh, you filming?
Yep.
That was the most exhilarating 15 seconds of my life.
People perceived us as being superheroes.
Please, Michael Jordan!
No Isaiah Thomas stuff.
No Isaiah Thomas question.
Cool.
We became a team, and that team just stomped on everybody.
This never happened in sports. Nowhere.
Well, I figured eventually there'd be a movie made about the Dream Team.
This group may well be the greatest team ever assembled in the history of team sports.
We thought that the greatest team ever. You know, I hear a lot of these new NBA players, like the youngsters, you know, shitting on this era, talking about they wasn't skilled. You think this team now is better than that Dream Team? I didn't see neither one of them play, but just by the lineup, I gotta go with the Dream Team, man, because a young Michael Jordan, a young Pippen, a young David Robinson. Magic wasn't that old, you know, he still was balling. A young Charles Barkley, well, a prime Charles Barkley, a prime Stockton, a prime Malone. It's just too much size. You're not gonna be able to keep them off the boards. As athletic as this new team is, they're too strong. You're not gonna get no rebounds, and they will miss shots. You know what I'm saying? They will miss shots, and I believe like this style of play to me is superior to the new style of play, because I think people really underestimate how effective posting up is and how much easier it makes the game. You know, like it's like almost a guaranteed shot, because imagine Kevin Durant or even anybody in Embiid, especially Embiid now. Embiid's he's not even helped. Like, imagine them trying to stop David Robinson, or imagine Kevin Durant trying to stop Karl Malone in the post. Man, he'll back KD all the way up to the fans. You know what I'm saying? He'd be all the way in the audience somewhere. Like, you ain't stopping that. But now, can they stop Kevin Durant? No, but I would say Pippen can do a lot more stopping. He could do a lot more. He could be a lot more effective on Kevin Durant than Kevin Durant could be on like somebody like Karl Malone. You know. But anyway, man, I'm talking too much. Let's get back to some shit.
God bless you, and God bless America.
20 years can go by pretty fast, and the world isn't going to stop and wait for you to remember what it used to look like. 1992 was a time of change. New faces in America quickly transforming into cultural icons. None more so than the superstars of the NBA.
The Bulls have repeated. Let the party begin.
After the legends of the 80s had lifted the league's profile to new heights, a fresh crop of players had blown the lid off.
Here's Hewitt. Robinson.
Their talents and their charisma made them more than just basketball players.
I am not a role model.
They were a new kind of star athlete whose popularity transcended the game.
Like Mike. If I could be like Mike.
Is it the shoes?
No, Mom.
And now the very best of them awaited their brightest showcase, the world's largest athletic stage, the Olympic Games in Barcelona, Spain, even if no one truly realized the impact they would make there.
It's a watershed moment in the history of sports, not just the Olympics, not just basketball. It moved
on our chest, and we didn't get the job done.
But the amateur ideal had gotten muddled. While NBA players were prohibited from Olympic competition, professionals from other leagues abroad could play.
That don't even make
If you played in Europe for money, you were an amateur, but if you played in the NBA for money, you were a professional. And so our players weren't eligible.
Those other countries were using pros, playing against 18, 19-year-old
That don't even make
kids.
sense.
That is really unfair.
Changing the hypocrisy, though, was a central goal of a European named Boris Stankovic, the head of FIBA,
My thing,
the World
if you're getting paid to do anything, if you're getting paid for your talent to do anything, you're a professional. You know, they don't pay amateurs, you know what I'm saying? So at that point, you're a professional. So that's all I gotta say about that.
Basketball Federation.
He was very much intent on lifting basketball up to the highest possible level of international sports. And if the whole world knew that the very best players in the world were not participating in the Olympics, that made it a second-class event.
So in 1989, Stankovic issued a resolution to allow pros from all
Not
leagues.
this hard. I'm sorry. Stankovic, that. I don't like laughing at people, but I don't know. That just. I wasn't expecting that. His name is Stankovic.
To compete in the
fucked
Olympics.
up.
But back in America, the NBA was lukewarm to the idea.
We wanted to be good partners with FIBA to grow the sport of basketball, but we weren't particularly anxious. We didn't know what it would mean. We didn't know if our players would want to do it. We didn't know what the logistics were, but the vote passed and NBA players were eligible for the Olympics.
Now the issue wasn't about whether American pros could play, but whether the best players wanted to play.
The one guy that, that we were a little concerned about was probably Michael.
The thought back then was Michael Jordan plays 36 holes of golf 90 days during the summer. What the hell is he going to be doing playing basketball?
I was hoping they would not ask me to participate. And I was trying to figure out a way graciously that I could decline. I'd done the Olympic thing before, and
him saying, I bet you that's why. I'm not saying it's right. I still think he's wrong for it though. But even though that's my favorite player, but I would say he's wrong. But I believe that's why he said he will only play if Isaiah Thomas don't play. I think he was just basically saying like, well, fuck it. If they say, well, he gotta play, then I just won't play, and I'll be cool with that because I don't want to play anyway. But they said, all right, well, he ain't gonna play. But yeah, I think, I'm not saying it's right, but I believe that's why he said, he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna tell him I don't like Isaiah anyway. Fuck it. If he playing, I ain't playing. That's...
When Rod Thorne called me and asked me, I wasn't gung-ho about it.
My appeal to him was, you're the top player in the world. This is bigger than the NBA Finals. And, you know, we need you. His thing, well, who else is playing? I mean, are all the good players going to play? You know, I'm not going to play by myself.
So Michael Jordan waited to hear more. And Rod Thorne made his next call.
It was a no-brainer for me. You know, I was in from day one. And I figured if I jumped in first and said I wanted to play, that would get guys to want to participate as well.
I think if Magic wasn't on that team, I don't think it would have been as spectacular as it was. And to finish out our careers, that was important for both of us.
Once you get guys like Magic and Larry committing to the team, then all of a sudden it becomes something very, very special. Representing the USA is already a tremendous honor, but to know that you're going to be on a dream team is a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Magic, Bird, and David Robinson weren't alone in their pride.
They called in the big guns. We're the Navy SEALs that we had to go over there and kick butts and take names.
With those stars and the Utah Jazz tandem of John Stockton and Karl Malone, the dream team was starting to take shape.
It don't matter if you call me last. I got the call.
I didn't feel like that I deserved to be called, but I truly wasn't going to tell them that.
I was like, yeah, I'm in. I didn't even think to say who else was on the team. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yes.
Charles Barkley's ability was never in question, but his attitude was.
God want us to win the world championship.
I don't know if I go that much off.
No, I talked to him the other night.
I learned early in Philadelphia. It doesn't matter what I say. So from this day forward, I'm gonna say what the hell I want to say, and some people gonna like it, and some people gonna dislike it.
But after a series of incidents on and off the court, the least of the committee's concerns were about what Barkley would say.
I was asked to talk to him. He was so honored that we would even think about asking him. He convinced me that you won't have any problems with me.
Now, with the team nearly complete, Rod Thorne had enough talent secured to go back to where he started.
Representing my country was a big thing, but I think, you know, the biggest motivation for me was now I get to spend time with some of the guys I compete against all the time.
Portland's Clyde Drexler rounded out the list of NBA players, while the final spot on the roster was reserved for an amateur, Duke's Christian Laettner, coming off back-to-back NCAA titles.
There's the pass to Laettner. Puts it up. Yes!
In any other Olympic year, Laettner might have been the team's biggest star, but on this team, he was.
A lot of people always got a problem with Laettner being on the team. They always got say well, he didn't deserve to be on the team. Should have been Shaq. Nah, I disagree. They're just saying that because of the outcome of his career, how his career went. But you gotta remember, Christian Laettner was that dude in college. You know what I'm saying? I believe he won back-to-back national championships. He got Player of the Year. I mean, yeah, he deserved to be there as a college, because I think they had to have one college player, you know, on there. So out of all the college players, yeah, he deserved to be there. They got it right, you know. It shouldn't have been Shaq. Shaq didn't win no national championship, you know. I don't even think Shaq got Player of the Year, I don't believe. So, nah, yeah, he deserved to be there.
On with being the last guy on the bench.
I tell people this all the time, and it may shock them, but my most enjoyable year was my freshman year, because they don't expect nothing from you except carry the luggage, do the laundry, and get our donuts. And that's easy. The harder thing is to be the leader.
By May of 1991, 2 months before the Olympics, the team was set. One college kid and 11 future Hall of Famers. The man charged with putting it all together was the unflappable Chuck Daly.
Okay, all set?
I'm set.
Chuck looked the part. He was the guy that looked like he owned the arena, but he would also push the broom.
His hair was beautiful. His suits were immaculate. He wanted to win, but he wanted to look good.
As the head coach of the Detroit Pistons, Daly did both, winning back-to-back championships in 1989 and 90.
The Pistons are winners and still champions of the world.
The Pistons were nicknamed the Bad Boys for their aggressive and some said dirty style of play, never more evident than in their memorable playoff battles with Michael Jordan's Bulls.
Michael on the move against Vinnie Johnson in the hoop. He is necktied. Michael Jordan goes down hard.
Detroit and Chicago had no love for each other.
So when Daly was named the Dream Team coach, many wondered how he'd handle working with the Bulls' biggest star.
I was being asked to wrestle with some demons and some issues.
But the coach was well acquainted with the task of managing personalities.
He coached the bad boys. And if you can coach those, you can coach anybody.
One player Daly wouldn't be coaching in the Olympics, however, was his own star in Detroit, point guard Isaiah Thomas, who controversially had been left off the team's roster.
No matter how much people try to say now, you know, it was no big a deal. It was a big deal.
I talked to Isaiah at the beginning of the year about the aspect he wasn't on the team, and he was not comfortable with it. I'm sure he is very hurt. He's a very deserving player, but you know, he was not selected.
Thomas was well on his way to a Hall of Fame career, but was also seen by many as the biggest cultivator of the bad boys image in Detroit.
And now Isaiah Thomas and Cartwright swinging.
Isaiah was the general. He was the guy that would yap at his teammates and say, knock him on the ass, do whatever you got to do.
Beautiful backdoor pass from Pippen, and he is walloped. He knew he was going to get hit.
I despised the way that he played the game.
Did you want him on the dream team?
No, I did not want him on the team.
Did Michael? Did he want him on the team?
Well, I can't speak for Michael, but I don't think he wanted him on the team.
Now, there has been speculation that your icy relationship with Isaiah Thomas is the reason that he was not selected. Well, what is your reaction to that?
That was one of the stipulations put to me prior to me even committing, that Isaiah wasn't a part of the team.
See?
I was getting strong innuendos that it wasn't just, you know, it was coming from higher places that didn't want Isaiah Thomas on the team.
Certainly things are being pointed at me because of our relationship and of course about the way that the end of the game between Detroit and Chicago ended.
We were picking the group just after the Pistons had been eliminated by the Bulls, and it was very bad timing for Isaiah. Everybody had fresh in their mind the picture of Isaiah walking off the court.
Pistons wasting no time in getting out of here. They left the bench, although there's 7 and 9/10 seconds remaining. The Pistons just left.
When the Pistons walked off the court before the final bell, I think it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
All right, no Isaiah Thomas stuff.
No Isaiah Thomas questions.
Cool.
Damn.
Jordan and the team were done answering questions about Isaiah. But with training camp approaching, a bigger question would need to be answered.
Like nobody liked Isaiah Thomas. Wow. Because I don't think Bird liked Isaiah neither. And and Magic too, because I remember at some point, I think him and Magic was over that AIDS, the HIV situation, because some of the stuff that Isaiah said. I don't think nobody liked Isaiah. Wow. I don't know, maybe it was just a group decision.
Hello, how you doing?
How would the 12 stars that were selected play together?
Welcome.
Training camp began on June 22nd, 1992, in La Jolla, California. And when the gym doors opened, no one was quite sure what to expect, especially the players themselves.
There's a lot of egos in one gym and on one team. everybody wanted their form to shine and showcase why they were a part of this team.
With all these stars on the team, if it comes down to the last shot, who's gonna take the shot?
Me. Everybody in the world has an ego. The only difference between us, we have
Definitely
a reason
not
to have an
Patrick.
ego.
Every one of us felt like we was everybody.
And when practice started that first day, every player seemed to be trying to prove just how great they were.
It was a very competitive practice, and I'm thinking, aren't we all on the same team?
Patrick go, I don't want to play with David, I want to play against him. Then you hear Michael say, I don't want to be on Magic's team, I want to play against him.
Real competitor.
Every evaluation of Michael Jordan at that time was, he's good, but he's never Magic Johnson. In my competitive nature, I want to use every little bit that I could gather so that I can gain an advantage.
Karl Malone, he's the only guy I would even compare to myself at the power forward position. So I want to prove that I was the best power forward in the world.
Charles. Yeah, he's a great talent. Do I think he's better than me? Hell no. So let's do this.
Yes.
By the time this over with, you're gonna be thinking I'm damn good too.
The first practice, Barkley drives baseline and Karl Malone jumps up like this. Barkley just dunked on him so hard. It was just an unbelievable play. I felt like, man, I cannot believe that I'm part of this practice.
A few days later, the team had a chance to acclimate themselves to playing on the same side. Chuck Daly had scheduled a scrimmage against a select group of college players, a group thrilled to be facing off against their idols.
I found out today I might be picking up Magic a little bit full court, so you know, things are just happening for me that really makes me happy.
My whole thought process was don't embarrass yourself, and that was like the theme for me, like just hang in there.
A lot of those people that I've looked up to, Barkley, Malone, a lot of those people talk confidence, and I think it's going to be a good matchup, you know. There's no advantage on either side.
For the college players, it was a chance to see how they'd match up against the world's best. For Coach Daly, it was an opportunity to get his stars to grow into a single unit.
I think we're somewhere between the mentality of an all-star game and trying to come together as a team. So we've got to continually work on this.
Daly had been hired for his ability to manage personalities and egos. And when the scrimmage began, it became apparent that his players had left one of their biggest weapons, those egos, somewhere else.
The non-fan would think, well, they're going to go in there and they're each going to want their own ball, and Jordan's going to be hogging the ball, and you know, Magic's going to be dribbling all over the place. Point of fact, it was the exact opposite. They overpassed.
It was like, I don't want to start it off. You know, you do it. And before you realize it, the select team was beating us by 10.
We didn't know how to play with each other. We didn't want to step on anybody's toes or hurt any egos. So these young kids, they were killing us.
We were not into it, and we paid for it.
Chris Webber was a man. I thought, boy, that's the guy's coming this league, I can get out of here.
Bobby Hurley was dominant.
I did have some success penetrating and collapsing the defense, and our energy, our excitement to play, all those things played in our favor.
Bobby Hurley didn't play 2 seasons in the NBA. Man. Nevertheless, it did expose the one weakness they could have had, which is defending against quick guards.
They were playing great. Then I noticed that Michael Jordan's not playing.
I'm saying something. Chuck, then he said, we're all right. Yeah, we're all right.
Daly watched as his players failed to make up the deficit. And in their first taste of outside competition, the Dream Team lost. A story their coach didn't want the press to get their hands on.
That right there, that little statement where you're talking about how they had a hard, how Bobby Hurley was just dissecting the defense. You know, I know a lot of people like, well, shit, if that was Steph Curry, true. Because Steph Curry is light years better than Bobby Hurley. Let's just be real. But let's be real. That's a practice game. and these guys wasn't taking it serious. And the GOAT, Jordan wasn't playing. Yeah, they wasn't taking it serious. So, but let's get they wouldn't even. So I like that. I won't. That right there, that don't really mean too much to me, you know. Now, if it was like a real game that meant something and they beat them, and Bobby Hurley was just doing all that, then okay, it's a problem.
I remember Chuck saying, as soon as the game ended and we were getting ready to let media in, it was erase the scoreboard.
Damn, 62 to 50. They was embarrassed.
Media comes in, scores, if not hundreds. They can sense something. You can feel the tension, or you can feel something in the air.
Well, some of these college players we've just got through playing against probably should be on this team, but they'll get their chance.
The teams posed for a picture together, both not sure what to make of what had just happened. But the man in charge may have had the answer.
He threw the game. You know, Chuck threw the game. If you look how much Jordan played and how he subbed guys in, not picking up, not making any adjustments, he knew what he was doing.
It was legit. It felt tremendous. You know, what we were doing that day, you know, they couldn't stop it.
There are kids who believe in Santa Claus too, and the Easter Bunny, and now that they've grown up, I hate to burst their bubble, but it was a game thrown.
Yeah, exactly.
Not many people would have done it, and he did it.
It was gratifying to Chuck for us to get our butts beat like that, because now we had to listen to him.
From then on, he had a way of just saying, you know, you could lose.
That's a good little
After
strategy.
fixing his collars and his hair, his speech was, anybody can get beat, so you gotta be ready to play. And I think that's the only speech he ever gave us.
The message got across. I mean, you know, Chuck couldn't have been happier, I'm sure.
It was brilliant on Chuck's part to be able to orchestrate that and play along like he didn't.
Through the game.
Why didn't he tell you guys?
We probably would have screwed it up.
The next day, training camp ended with a rematch against the college kids. And once play started, everything made sense again.
The tables were turned drastically.
We showed them why we are who we are. We pretty much beat them by 100.
They couldn't score.
Exactly.
And by the way, Jordan played a lot more that next scrimmage.
Damn. Let's see. Hey.
Before the Dream Team could play in the 1992 Olympics, they had to qualify. The place to do that was Portland, Oregon, and the Tournament of the Americas. It would be the public's first chance to see the NBA stars together in a game, especially Jordan, Bird, and Magic. Daly had asked all three to be team captains, but Jordan had turned him down.
I knew how much it meant to both of those guys because they never had the opportunity to play on the Olympics. So I'd say, you know what, Chuck, don't worry about me. You know, let these old dogs do it.
That's what's up, man. That's a lot of...
Magic and Bird weren't just the team's oldest players.
That's what's called respect, you know?
They were also the most revered. They had entered the league together in 1979, embarking on a rivalry that had redefined the NBA. And along the way, their personal admiration for one another had grown.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen, you know. Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
In 1992, they'd be getting the chance to share the ball. But the opportunity would be coming at the end of their careers. Bird had given his soul to the game. But after so many years, his body was betraying him.
Had back problems. It just get to the point where you just couldn't play. I mean, you couldn't think, couldn't move, couldn't run. You know, if you can't feel your feet, it's hard to run.
Larry was on the fence because of his back, so I said, man, LB, you gotta play, man. You gotta play. This is our last chance to be together.
Magic would be able to convince his old friend to play. But at the start of the 1991-92 NBA season, he was forced to retire after learning he had the HIV virus.
Damn.
Doctors would eventually clear him to play in the Olympics, though that didn't stop fears from swirling.
There's a lot of players that really didn't want him to play, didn't want to play with him or against him, because nobody knew what disease meant. You know, they say you get a little blood on you, you got HIV, or you breathe on you, you know. I never bought any of that, you know. You just keep going. And that's what Irving decided to do, just keep pushing, keep going.
6-5, three-pointer, yes, oh my!
Magic had made a cameo in the 1992 All-Star Game and had focused his attention on the Olympics, hoping for an encore of a lifetime alongside his old rival.
Our careers were really over, and it was something I thought needed to happen for both of us.
Their debut would take place at Portland's Rose Garden, with their team needing to medal in the Tournament of the Americas to qualify for the Olympics. That seemed like a foregone conclusion to just about everyone, including their first opponents, who were completely in awe before the game even started.
The Cuban team spontaneously drops to its knees as if 12 popes had come by on Easter Sunday. At that point, the idea that this is merely a basketball game has been ripped asunder.
It was a surreal feeling. You're like, dude, we're here to kick y'all behind. And they want to take pictures with you.
That game was over before it started.
Magic and Larry come out together, two guys that had saved the league. They wouldn't even be playing this game without those two. And Magic passed the ball, Larry makes the first basket.
Bird banking in, goes to the fadeaway.
I mean, you know, it just didn't get any better than that.
The U.S. was off and running, and the result was a thing of beauty.
Johnson leading the break, finds Robinson.
And no one seemed more excited to be sharing the court than the co-captains.
Bird for three.
Opening night was a smashing success, with the outcome never in doubt.
Oh, a bullet from Magic to Portland.
And late in the game, fans in Portland decided they wanted a curtain call from a three-time MVP.
The crowd start cheering, Larry, Larry, Larry.
Larry legend.
Crowd reacts to the entrance of Larry Bird, a standing ovation.
And as he'd done so many other times in his career, Larry Bird rose to the occasion.
Jordan with the behind-the-back save. Here's Bird. Yes.
You just knew that Larry Bird was not going to miss that shot.
It was a virtually flawless performance. The final margin of victory was 77 points. And Magic and Bird had led the way. For Magic in particular, after a year out of the game, the victory had a special kind of meaning.
Living with HIV, never even thinking that I would ever have a chance to play basketball again, and then basketball for the United States. It was therapy for me, and I needed that in the worst way.
And then there was the matter of making sure Michael Jordan knew he was back as well.
Yeah, you hear what the captain said? The captain said, sit down, or this boat is gonna sink.
That's right, have a seat, because you're gonna fall, and then that's gonna happen.
That's the seniority right there.
I know it.
With Magic and Michael, there was that little extra something there, you know, and something kind of to prove to each other.
I took it upon myself to always shoot with Michael. Okay, MJ, free throws today. Who was the first one to 50? Or we had little games, who was the better shooter?
You know what you gotta do. Know what you gotta do. Here we go.
He didn't want to relinquish that control of the 80s, in a sense, even though we were going into the 90s.
Don't touch the phone. One hand, don't touch it.
You know, he just come off missing a whole year. So it was who can win, who's gonna have the bragging rights by the end of this trip.
You can't get too close to Michael, it's a foul. You haven't committed a foul in almost a year and a half, man. How can you talk?
Michael's always tried to let people know that he's the top dog in whatever. That's just his competitive mode.
I'm the young guy with the elder statesman. These old guys, they got arthritis. They can't stand in one spot too long.
He's a young puppy. I'm the big dog here. Whatever I say goes.
While the winner of Magic and Michael's "Can You Top This" challenge remained in doubt, when it came to facing the competition in the Tournament of the Americas, the team stood united.
When we took the court in Portland, which, you know, we're on home ground, we wanted to showcase to the fans who would be representing them.
The lead is 30. Steele. Jordan.
That was quick, man.
I'm gonna send a message around the world today that y'all can give it up. You foreigners can give it up.
Mullet with the steal. Stockton has Mullet. Goes the other way. Stockton set him up perfectly.
The Americans won their 6 games at the tournament by an average of 50 points.
All right, Larry, your impressions of tonight's game?
The gold medal was no surprise. But what was unexpected was the team's interactions with their opponents, who showered them with adulation before, after, and even during games.
Magic Johnson and Oranga shaking hands after the shot.
You know what I'm saying? They was fans, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they didn't have a chance though. It's like they was basically playing against their idols and they was playing against their fans, you know, so it ain't, you know, it was a given they was just gonna blow out every team. So, but man, I'm gonna have to cut this short. I'm gonna do a 2-part. I'm gonna come back and do another, just, you know, another half. So, like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.